Hello everyone and welcome back to Send It's Weather channel. Today we are looking at the latest from the midday set of runs to see what they are showing for the next couple of weeks, and that will take us to around the 27th of July into the final days of July. Time to get your watch on because soon it'll be August. Why did it just disappear? But anyway, if you enjoyed today's video, consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. As always, we are on the road to 1.8k and we are now 20 away, so it's growing pretty quick. Thank you all very much for your support. But yeah, I'm going to look at the latest now. Yesterday I talked about the uncertainty train of the models suggesting it might turn more unsettled. However, some disagreed with that. But do you reckon it will have reverted back to the mild weather and the hot weather, or do you reckon it'll have turned more unsettled and changeable? Let me know in the comments before we start. Anyway, so at the moment, we've got an area of low pressure just to our west and southwest. High pressure is centred to our north and east. Winds are in from the east. So it's, the hot weather's beginning to clear away very slowly. It's definitely been a cooler day, where I have been anyway. We had a nice barbecue. Anyway, as we go into Monday though, tomorrow it's going to turn properly unsettled. Low pressure is beginning to make its influence from the west, and it's going to turn things cooler and showery, particularly further north, but not exclusively. Much of the country is going to see some rain tomorrow, and even a few rumbles of thunder, but we'll have to see. Moving into the middle to the latter part of next week, high pressure begins to move to our south again, and winds turn to more of a southwesterly, so it does turn warmer again for a time, but a very brief time. For the south anyway. Further north, still a little bit more changeable, with weaker pressure gradients to the north. As we move to around the 20th of July, you can see low pressure again is beginning to move in from off the Atlantic. A continued barrage of areas of low pressure moving in from off the Atlantic, bringing in bouts of wet weather for many. And that's just going to bring unsettled weather, really. Bit of warmer plume moving up as well from the southwest, which is going to bring up those temperatures a little bit into the start of next week. But then going on beyond that, the GFS 12Z run, the latest one, just continues to bring in areas of low pressure from off the Atlantic before eventually heights build to the south again, south and west. Winds turn into more of a northerly direction, so that is cooler. Definitely a lot cooler. High pressure's out to the west, low pressure's to our east. That's a winter pattern if you wanted one. Winds in from the north, temperature deviation is quite cool. By the very end, of course, it's a long way off. So what can we take away from the GFS 12Z run today? Well, it looks unsettled, but not ridiculously unsettled. There is a few areas of low pressure moving in, which will make it more changeable. But we're considering these temperatures being average, you know what I mean? It's nothing ridiculous. The temperatures are around average. So we've lost the heat, but we haven't, altogether. It's not like cool, or it's not going to feel cold or anything like that. It's not going to be like 14. It's still going to be around 20 degrees, you'd expect, especially in the south. But it just means it'll be a bit more changeable up in the north, most likely. Moving on to the GEM run. Don't know why I sound like a robot. We're on with this one. Low pressure moving in from off the Atlantic. Monday into Tuesday, bringing bouts of wet weather to much of the country. That clears away and a ridge builds in from the southwest, bringing the warm weather back to much of the country. Well, warm, I say, 25 degrees to the south. Beyond that, though, you can see a little bit less unsettled with GEM, but again, that area of low pressure tries to move in from the west by Sunday next weekend, and that doesn't really make much progress, and high pressure just takes back over by the end of the run. There you go. So you can see high pressure just centred to our south and west. Look at that heat plume over Spain. 20 degrees Fahrenheit, probably bringing 40-degree temperatures back if it was correct. Winds in from the southwest, dragging the 10 degrees Fahrenheit back through the country and bringing back the warmer weather. Temperatures probably rising into the mid-20s. There you go. 24-25 from a low-res model. So all hope is not lost if you're after your heat spells again and your heat spikes. We've got to think we've been quite fortunate so far, if you're into your heat, that it has been quite a hot spell, hot summer, hot heat spikes so far. It's bound to turn unsettled at some point though, probably. Not saying definitely, but probably. But yeah, onto the ECM, which has been the iffy model. Low pressure begin to move off the Atlantic Monday and Tuesday. Wet weather moving in. Ridge builds through the country on Wednesday, bringing a little bit more warm weather in before low pressure just sits to our north and east, really. North and west, it doesn't really make much inroads. But 10 degrees holds on a bit longer until about Sunday with the ECM. So a little bit warmer, but you can see weak pressure gradients by Sunday. weak area of low pressure there, sat just over into the west of the country, bringing in slightly cooler conditions, but again, still above average, really, with an area of low pressure forming over the top of the country, before again we revert back into a north or northwesterly wind by the end as high pressure retreats to our west, winds in from a northwesterly direction. But it's not too bad, really. Finally, the AI model, the AIS model, the ECM one. See if that shows a similar trend. Soon send its mod. No, I'm joking. Low pressure moving in from off the Atlantic, Monday into Tuesday. Again, ridge builds through Wednesday. Thursday and Friday, low pressure moving in from the west, particularly bringing banks of rain to the west and northwest. But going beyond that, again, high pressure tries to re-establish itself and does successfully to some extent, particularly in the south. But it's still pretty much more changeable and unsettled with winds in from off the Atlantic. Most likely with this, it's actually very westerly Atlantic driven, so a little bit more unsettled, particularly further north. Now, what do the GFS ensembles think of this? Well, this is what they think. So they are saying around average, well, above average at the moment for the next day before we are dropping below average for a couple of days before we are returning to above average, slightly above average temperatures. Again, still a few hot runs, they can't be ruled out yet, but they aren't as favoured as they were initially. And then in the long term, again, a few more heat spikes, or a few hotter runs in there, warmer runs. But you can see the trend is around average, suggesting uncertainty. You can see some cooler runs down here and milder runs up here, suggesting uncertainty into the final week of July, which says we can't really make a prediction at this stage. You can see the GFS 12Z run was oscillating above and below average, pretty much what you'd expect. But on the whole, if you see this sort of pattern, it probably would end up above average, to be honest. I'd expect above average temperatures the next 2 weeks, but it could be more changeable and mixed, particularly further north, but not exclusively. If you look at the precipitation spikes as well, you can see it does actually look quite changeable in the south. This is between the 15th and the 20th of July. You can see more rain spikes showing up, or precipitation spikes showing up, you should say. Maybe a drying trend in the longer term, but again, long way off and is uncertain. And then if we go to, I don't know, the AI model, the runs are quite similar, but with this run again remaining above average for the entire run. You can see again a few hot runs appearing at the end, but not too many of them. But who knows, they might just fly up in the next couple of days and we'll be talking about heat spell again, but not likely at this stage. Just kind of looks around to a bit above average, so, you know, uninspiring weather I'd call it. Not too much going on at all, but of course we'll keep you posted on everything that develops in the coming days, of course. So yeah, we'll just have to see how things develop. It might turn more unsettled for a time, but not ridiculously, and probably mostly in the north. But again, there could be a few lows developing further south, which could bring a little bit of unsettled conditions. I expect more rain for all, really, into the second half of July, just more changeable in the longer term. But anyway, thank you all for watching. Hope you found this video informative. A bit shorter than normal, but again, it's becoming less variable, variable, really. But yeah, we'll see you all in the next one. Join my Discord down below. Going to become a member as well. That's also linked in the description to support me. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye, everyone.